I'm going to show you something to do with the foam roll. So the question is, what mobility tool is better to use between a foam roll and I'm going to go with a lacrosse ball, right? And so there's different reasons why you would choose one compared to another. So here's some general concepts I want you to think about with the foam roll. Foam roll I think is going to be good for any large, flat, long muscle group that you can roll onto, right? Because of its large surface area, you want something that has a larger surface area to be able to roll onto. Also think about this is a nice thing to be able to use as a fulcrum, especially when I'm talking about the spine. You can use your spine. You can use this to be able to bend the spine over the foam roll to be able to get more joint mobility, rib mobility within your body, which is going to be very necessary for things like any type of rotational movements, arms overhead position, rack position. All that's going to be really important. Right? So first, I'm going to show you is how to use this for large muscle groups. So for instance, if I'm going to use the hamstring is a muscle that crosses the hip joint and also the knee joint. So what I want to do is try to iron out all those muscles. I want all the surfaces within those muscles to slide and glide, have some separation through there. I want that hamstring muscle to separate away from the sciatic nerve, be able to get some good neural mobility along with muscular mobility. So if I'm going to use this foam roll on this right leg, I'm going to put pressure onto it. A couple ways to do it. I can lift up my butt, put my weight on my hands. I have both my feet on the ground here because depending on if you've never done this before, there's a good chance it's going to be very painful. If your soft tissue structure is not used to the pressure, don't have the elasticity necessary, you're going to have more sensations of pain. But if you start getting better at it, or the mobility is good, you've been doing it for a month or two, it's probably not going to be as painful, then you can add more pressure to it. So you can either put less pressure into the feet, you can also bring this leg up on top, put more weight onto that foam roll. Now, if I'm going to use this foam roll to get through the entire length of the muscle, I'm going to obviously roll back and forth. Now, also remember that the hamstrings, 2 muscle bellies on the outer side, 2 muscle bellies on the inner side, right? So if you just go straight back and forth, you're really not going to get all the muscle tissue. So then I can make some adjustments to my body. I could turn my leg outwards and get more of the outer hamstring muscles. You also get some of the interface of the IT band on the back side where it attaches to the hamstring. Then you could also turn inwards and get more of the inner side. And that also interfaces a little bit with the adductor muscles here. Now let's say for instance there's a spot that just kills right in the middle, for example. So let's say right here, I'm like, oh man, this is one spot. Above and below, it doesn't really matter. We're right here, it's just really knotted up. It just doesn't feel right, there's tension, pain. Now what I can do is I can concentrate my time here instead of wasting time above or below where there's no restrictions. If I stay here on that restriction, I got a couple options. I could roll back and forth, or I could just do a small area, rolling forward backwards. Another one I like to do is move a body part. So for this one, I'm going to move my knee. I'm going to straighten out my knee back and forth. Okay. And I can use other body parts. So for instance, if I have my knee straight, I can move my foot back and forth. There's a fascial tissue connection that goes all the way down the foot, all the way through your entire body. So you can use that fascial tissue tensioning to get a better mobilization. So there's some options there. In relation to the fulcrum, I can use this foam roll to be able to get more spine mobility by bending my spine over the foam roll. So if I were to get an area of like, let's say the mid-thoracic spine is really important for any type of overhead motion. What I can do is find a spot that doesn't want to move. I can either cross my arms, I can bring my arms overhead, move my arms overhead, and then what I can do is I could bend over that foam roll. Now I know for a fact that my thoracic extension mobility is not very good, but I can be working on it through here. Now make sure that you don't lift up your butt because that's not really any joint motion. I want my butt to stay on the ground as I arch over that spot. It would be good to stay here and then take a deep breath. Deep breathing helps get some relaxation through the muscle tissues, allow for the joint to stretch a little bit more. Then I can change the positioning, get a little higher. Now we live in a three-dimensional world, so I'd rather go ahead and make sure that that thoracic spine can move in all dimensions. So if I go in extension, bending backwards, I can add a little left rotation or right rotation or a side bend, or a diagonal is a better way to say it. So if I were to instead of going straight here, I could turn this foam roll and cross my arms for this one. And then since the foam roll's at an angle, I'm gonna go over that angle, and I'm gonna go from here, bending over, looking over to the left in that angle of that foam roll. And I can roll down a little bit more, angle a little more. So those are a couple examples of how you can use a foam roll both for soft tissue work but also for joint work.